So since I don't direct seed really anything, I have trays upon trays upon trays of hundreds to thousands of little transplants I need to transplant. That's all fine and dandy. This is the best way to ensure that you do have growth. You know how much is going in, you know how much to plan for. When you have seeds, you don't really know how much are going to germinate and survive. So I certainly prefer transplants, but with transplants, every time I have a transplant means I have to have a hole for the transplant to go in. So for every transplant means a shovel and a hole and all of that. So this year I tried making something that would simplify that, at least get rid of using a shovel. So I've used this for the seeder. When you direct seed, this would be the transplanter version of it. It's not 100% ideal because you have a big bulky block that's going to go into the soil, compacting the soil, but ultimately the soil is quite fluffy. I don't have any concerns for the root system not being able to penetrate what soil does become compacted. So this goes off with the square foot gardening. So I know my square foot and now I know my transplanter. So if I want to take plug, so all of these wood pieces are specific to the dimensions of the tray. So this is a 50 cell, I have 72 and 128, so I have all boards that have a specific knob to the dimensions of the tray. So in this case I'm going to use the 51. So for these I'm just going to push into the ground. You see it doesn't take that much to get into the ground. It's nice and simple because the ground is very fluffy. And now I have my hole. So the dimensions of that block are larger than the soil depth because you always want to plant higher than the soil depth to get that into the ground. So in this case, it's a little bit, but anytime you try transplanting, you then always give it a little extra and then a pat down. So yes, it does compact, but it's such a flowy soil. I have no concerns with it. The transplanter only really works if you have flowy soil for at least 3 inches into the ground, so you have to fluff up the bed to make this work. But now that I do square foot gardening with this, I don't have to now put in hundreds of holes. I can just go down, mark my square foot, which is also going to mark where my transplant needs to go, and make this process significantly better. So this is my new tool of the year. This would be the transplanter. Probably only going to work for certain plants, peppers being one of them, lettuce being another one. Probably not going to work for tomatoes because you like to dig those into the ground. But I have hundreds upon hundreds of pepper plants, so it certainly will help me this year. So we'll see how this goes. So this is the first bed I did with the transplanter. So you can see it works fairly well. Nice defined holes, but there's other holes that doesn't work so well. I would say those holes that didn't work so well look to have more dryness than moisture, because some of them are quite defined. So it's going to take a little refining, but that to do all of this took a 50-foot bed to make about 100 holes, about 2-3 minutes. So it goes by pretty quickly. I just got to figure out the intricacies of it just to make it more defined holes.